Hello and welcome back to my channel. It's been a while since my last video. I've been traveling to France to see my family and didn't get the time to film anything. Anyway, I'm finally back in Korea. It's terribly humid and warm here right now, but somehow I'm happy to be back. It feels good to pick up my routine again, cafe hunting, biking around, and of course Korean food. Today I'm meeting up with my friend Marcus. We're planning to grab some ramen and hunt down a good coffee spot in town. With the bike lying around in the Korean summer heat, my tires ran completely low on pressure. A quick checkup and we're good to hit the road. I figured I'd bring my camera to show Marcus the manual lens he's been eyeing for a while. He's been rocking a Fujifilm X-E5 and this lens would be a really nice addition to his kit. I was pleasantly surprised that my camera bag fit perfectly in my basket. Maybe I should bring it along more often on my rides, but I have a hard time filming and taking photos at the same time. First stop, Toki, a homemade ramen spot near Namdaemun, just a couple minutes away. They're known for their shio ramen with a clean, light aftertaste. The restaurant is actually pretty close to my place by bike, but still, I was so happy to get back on my GT again. It was that kind of perfect weather to be outside, after suffering through the super high temperatures since I landed a few days ago. I forgot how nice it is to ride around my neighborhood. If you can look past the hills, it's super quiet and really bike friendly. You might have seen it in my previous videos. It's actually a popular route for road cyclists coming down from Namchang Tower. It was actually one of the first days without my daughter in a long time. I kind of forgot what it felt like to have some free will. This meetup came at just the right time. Since Marcus was on his last week of holidays before getting back to work, the stars really aligned. Well, until 4 p.m. I got to the restaurant with time to spare before we met up, so I decided to wander around the neighborhood for a bit. It looked really nice and welcoming. There's this structure gathering a bunch of different shops and cafes together. It's called Local Stitch, a small cluster of shops built into an old building near Hohyeon Station. There's a shop called Nono and a cafe restaurant inside too. Seems like it's also a local spot for all the office workers in the area. It was super packed when I arrived. Might give it a try at some point. And here he is, none other than Marcus, rolling in on his beautiful Rivendell. His bike is so big it makes my GT feel like a kid's bike. The restaurant is on the 3rd floor. On the way up, I noticed a cool plant shop. It really feels like all these businesses are carefully curated.
Yeah, it's quite nice.
You've been very active though.
Yeah.
How can you do this?
The interior itself looked pretty cool, a mix of raw materials with some warmer elements thrown in. Since the ramen shop is pretty popular and only has a limited menu, almost everything was sold out. The chef was kind enough to put together a bowl suited to my taste. It was really good. After a lot of back and forth over where to grab coffee next, I suggested a place a customer of mine had recommended, McCullee. It's a cafe and roastery located in the heart of Chungmuro, a neighborhood I have a special connection to, having lived there for a few years. At first we were thinking about visiting Sochon again for its nice vibes, but I especially enjoy riding through those little streets leading into the old town of Yeoljiro. A nice ride through Myeong-dong's busy hood, all the way to the printing factories of Chungmuro. As you can tell, this shopping district is one of the busiest places in Seoul. Myeong-dong's been Seoul's go-to shopping and beauty spot for decades, packed with cosmetics shops, street food stalls, and crowds from morning to night. I'm really a city riding kind of person. Weaving through the crowd is almost as fun as weaving through traffic. Even though I love getting out to the countryside, this kind of buzz is what pulls me back every time. One final map check and we made it to the cafe. I was surprised to find it on the 2nd floor, on a really quiet street, a super cool spot nestled between all these old businesses. From my experience living in this neighborhood, there are a lot of hidden spots up on the higher floors of buildings. It's something really specific to that area, one of the reasons I'm still nostalgic about my time in Chungmuro. Walking in, this cafe really felt like a themed attraction. I'm not sure what connection the owner has to the United States, but it gave off a strong vibe. At first the owner didn't notice we were there, busy roasting some beans, good chance to look around and check out the pretty extensive menu.
I've been a barista maybe for 5 years. Yeah, in Korea.
I went with an iced washed Peruvian geisha for 10,000 won. Marcus got a cortado. It was delicious, and I can't recommend this coffee shop enough. Also, the fact that he pours part of the filter coffee into a second cup without ice, that's just chef's kiss. The afternoon flew by, and before I knew it, it was already time to pick up my daughter. Same for Marcus and his boys. Back to dad life. Well, still got a ride home. We planned another ride the next day, before the long weekend hits. Since we live on the same side of Seoul, we took the way back through Seoul Station and Huam Market. I love getting back to Huam's streets. It instantly gives me this feeling of comfort. I've watched Huam evolve pretty quickly over the past few years, and these days it feels like the new cool place in town, the kind of neighborhood people are starting to talk about. Can't really complain though, since I've been a Huam lover for a while now, long before it got trendy. I suspect Marcus is about to become one too, the way he was looking around today. We said our goodbyes and split up, just in time to make it to kindergarten pickup. Next day, a bigger bike ride was on the menu, but first family time and the usual cafe morning routine. Speaking of coffee, I'm brewing a washed Ethiopian, roasted by Fried Hats in Amsterdam, using a UFO type F filter with a V2, my favorite combo these days. I brought back a few bags from my trip to Europe, mostly extremely light roasts that I've been really enjoying every morning. Caffeine level, fixed. Time to drop Mina off at kindergarten and get ready for the day on the bike. Dad duty done, stuff packed for the day. I'm joining Marcus and Samgakchi to head to a friend's place for a morning brewing session. Pretty excited about this one. We'll take the usual river route from Samgakchi, then head up through Mangwon-dong. Always a good call. Picked up Marcus and started cycling. It felt so good to ride in the morning. These days I'm having a hard time handling the humidity. Happy to see he brought out the Romulus. I think it's my favorite out of all his bikes. Timeless frame, that sexy blue color, and made in Japan. A real collector's piece.
30,000? Oh yeah. Oh, you already had a lot of... I didn't know that.
It only took me 3 months to get my license.
Okay.
I was like, wow.
Well, that's good.
It's easier than I expected.
Yeah.
The first month I made 30 euros.
It must felt crazy at the time.
We couldn't resist framing the bikes against this immaculate background. We got lucky, clear skies just for the day. I tried the Leica app for the occasion. Not too bad, but honestly, I wouldn't pay for it. We ended up debating that all day with the guys. A few more spins and we made it to Mangwon-dong, last checkpoint before Yeonhee. It's a neighborhood I really enjoy and come to pretty often. I've actually been thinking about moving here recently. It's mostly flat with plenty of new facilities and cafes. Might be nice with the family too. Our friends had a nice welcome waiting for us. Good to see everyone again after that long trip to France.
Yeah? I said 20.
Bikes locked up, it was time for the most anticipated moment of the day, the coffee brewing session. Walking into Seongwon's place, you could immediately tell he and his girlfriend have great taste in bikes. No less than 4 SteelBikes and 1 more on the way for the fall season. Super nice selection. Funny enough, I first saw Sungwon in an April coffee video. I knew his setup was nice, but seeing it in person was even more impressive. Super nice curation of gear for brewing coffee. Having an EK43 signed by Patrick Rolfe is a pretty big flex if you ask me. After checking out those nice ceramics and the special edition UFO dripper, we started working through a bunch of different coffees, from roasters like Big Sur in China, September in Canada, and Sei from New York. I could tell Sungwon likes really light roast coffee just as much as I do. He showed me his espresso soup, made by brewing at very low pressure, using an OXO brewer. It was the first time I tried this brewer, and I wasn't disappointed. Perfectly brewed, super juicy soup. If you're a purist when it comes to traditional espresso, this definitely isn't for you, but for me, those longer ratios balance the taste really well. It's mostly what I drink these days. Well caffeinated, it was time for a proper lunch. Junho was kind enough to book us a table at a popular ramen spot in the area. It's called Long Season. Hongdae is really the ramen town of Seoul. I always discover new spots every time I pass through. From what I understand, it's almost impossible to get a seat at this ramen place without using the Catch Table app. Seeing the waiting line, I can confirm, it's super hard to get in. Shout out to Junho for pulling this one off. So the menu split into two styles, tsukemen, where you dip your noodles into a rich, concentrated broth, or a lighter shio ramen with a fish-based iriko broth, and each one comes in 4 levels, from plain all the way up to the loaded special version with egg and chashu. I went with the shio ramen. It was out of this world, honestly. Probably the best ramen I've ever had. If you ever get the chance to visit, you will not be disappointed. Super legit. Belly's full, we decided to make a stop at 26 Bikes. You might have seen it in my previous video when I went to the opening party. This bike shop has really been rising in popularity in Seoul, and in terms of frame selection, I think it's the best around. I'm not in the market for a new bike right now, but if I were, this would definitely be my starting point. I mean, just look at this selection. It's crazy. The parts curation has come such a long way since the opening. Hard to resist if you're on the hunt for a cool bike. Really unique for Seoul. Personally, I love this green GT. Small parts bought, we decided it was time for some real cycling over at Seoul World Cup Park. It was the first time someone actually mentioned it to me, which is kind of funny for a park this massive, way out west of the city. Turns out it used to be a landfill. The whole thing was built on buried trash, capped, and turned into these big green hills after the 2002 World Cup. The park's got some gravel sections, if you can even call them that, but it was still nice to get that countryside feeling for a moment. I should probably bring the family out here again, once fall hits and the humidity finally clears. But holy moly, the climb to the top was steep. I could really feel all that good food I had in France, paying for it now. But it was worth it. This spot's actually been picked as one of Seoul's official scenic viewpoints. We were completely drained though, between the humidity and the heat. Once you reach the top, there's this little pocket of forest you can ride through, some proper gravel in there. Honestly, I think that was the best part of the ride. And like every ride in Korea, you've got to make a convenience store stop. I was surprised there was actually one right in the middle of the park. Yanju joined us at the top. Good to see him too. Such a fun day with everyone. I wish I could have stayed longer, but this spot was about an hour from home, so we started heading back, with a nice descent waiting for us.
Nice view.
The park is really just one step away from the city, crossing the bridge to get back to the Han River side. If you're in Seoul and want a quick getaway, it's definitely a nice option. I can understand why the West Crew group comes here that often. It's very refreshing. Back in Yongsan, with this now famous route across the train barrier, I quickly went back home with Marcus and rushed to pick up my daughter. The next morning, I was back to my dad duty, starting the day with my traditional espresso cup with Mina. And when I'm craving an espresso outside of my cafe, my go-to is Low Fever. They're the only cafe in my hood offering modern and bright espresso. I've featured this place a few times in my videos because it's a great place for coffee and brunch. Give it a try. They had a single origin Ethiopia washed on the menu, super delicious as usual. Got to try their August special menu as well, tiramisu. Very satisfying morning coffee, but I was craving for more, so I went to Carpet and Sky. My cafe has seen a lot of change recently. My wife and I decided to completely rethink the layout of the place. It now separates the kitchen, coffee bar, and a redesigned seating area. I really like how it turned out. In fact, I'm getting back behind the bar in mid-September with a completely new bean and food menu. So if you have time, please visit. I can't tell you how happy I am to brew coffee with my setup. I couldn't resist brewing an iced Kenyan coffee, roasted by Travertine in Yongsan. Nobody tells you how challenging it is to brew coffee when you're in charge of a kid. But we had bigger plans with Mina for the morning, a ride to Sochon to get some fresh air, and exercise a bit. Catching the little bus which climbs Haebangchon Hill, but it's always packed. Nobody would give us a seat, so we sat in the crowd for a while. The city was so quiet on this early morning weekend day, the perfect condition to ride. Passed by a few pelotons of well-equipped cyclists, always amazed by the level of spending in the road cyclist community. First stop, reception. I kind of enjoy this light roast cafe. They also offer single origin espresso, and that's all I'm here for. I've got their Ethiopian washed espresso, flavor notes, stone fruit, honey, floral, and Mina was gifted a Beppuccino. She really enjoyed it. Still had some time left before lunch at home, so I decided to ride a bit in Sochon and get a last coffee. We passed by this old market. Pretty cool to show these corners to Mina. You can find pretty much everything here, from meat to vegetables to mandu. It's really what a Korean market is. Good to see that those places still hold on, in contrast with the very gentrified area surrounding it. So I decided to check out McCulleeCoffee Roasters, who recently settled into their new store in the hood, literally right in front of Pastel Coffee. I first heard about it because they have a well-established place in Yeonnam-dong, so I decided to give it a try. The place is quite tiny, with beans on display that you can buy, and a central table to share with other guests. I think Mina was getting tired of her dad drinking coffee and wanted to get back on the bike as soon as possible. They had 5 single origins on the pour-over menu and 1 nutty blend. I went with a funky anaerobic Ethiopian. It was indeed super funky, maybe a bit too much for my taste, but as iced coffee, it was really enjoyable. Morning well spent, we headed back home for a nice weekend lunch. Last spins in Huam Market, and we got home safely. I felt pretty much worn out after that intense morning, and probably over-caffeinated, but that part is okay. A few days later, I decided to attend the pop-up run by Jay, the creator of the UFO Dripper. Such a nice dude. It pushed me to go to Gangnam, which I don't really enjoy normally. Bus is always my go-to when moving around Seoul. I love listening to music and enjoying the surroundings. The occasion to listen again to the upcoming Interpol album.
Ah, peut-être. Ah non, on n'a pas le temps, je pense.
The pop-up is on the 11th floor, in a cafe called Categorique. I'd never heard of it before seeing it on Jay's Instagram. And here he is, the famous Jay. The concept of this pop-up is that he curates different coffee beans from roasteries across South Korea. Rube Roastery from Seoul, a washed Ethiopian chabis from Eri in Busan, and a funky Colombian from Treasure's Coffee in Busan. Unfortunately, all the special edition UFOs with MK Ceramic Studio were gone the day I visited. A quick chat with Jay, and we had to wait a few minutes to get in. I was told the first day was crazy, with more than 100 pour-overs ordered. That's some crazy numbers for a filter menu only. Since we were a group of 3, we ordered all the possible options, except the Categorique Ethiopia, which was sold out.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like it can sometimes be super peaky and acidic, but how Treasure's roasts, they made it so that it's super mellow, sweet, and really texture. So,
What roaster is it?
easy stuff.
Easy Stir is
Yeah,
nice.
easy stuff.
It's Korean, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like a Probot knockoff.
Yeah.
The Easy Stir owner has
Jay was kind enough to have a coffee chat with us and exchange our thoughts about the different coffees we got. They were all super delicious, but my favorite was the Chelbisa from Eri in Busan. It really was a super clean washed coffee, which is the kind I tend to enjoy more. Treasure's Columbia took second place, funky but still clean. I felt like we couldn't get a bad coffee that day anyway. Later that day, we didn't have much in the fridge and were looking for options to get a proper Korean dinner. Naturally, I thought about my favorite kimchi jjigae restaurant in Seoul. This place serves grilled meat and kimchi jjigae. It's really a Korean canteen for workers. If you come for lunch, there's always a big wait list, but it was pretty quiet for dinner. We ordered a pork kimchi jjigae and an egg omelette. Every dish is served with traditional rice in a metal pot, so you can make some nurungji, Mina's favorite. If you're interested in visiting this place, I'll put a link in the description of this video. And that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to subscribe and like. That would help me more than you think. See you in the next one.